Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Rich Insights. I'm Don Rich. The topic for today is the U.S. labor market. More specifically, I want to talk about Uber and Lyft and some recent court rulings related to them. Now, last Friday, we got the NonFarm Payroll numbers, and it wasn't too bad. By some accounts, it was actually pretty good. But a big chunk of the hires were actually in the service sector, in the lower wage area of the service sector. That's not the area I want to focus on today, though. I don't want to debate the merits of the non-farm payroll. What I want to talk about today is the unemployment benefit trusts that many of the states have, right? These trust funds are inadequately capitalized. They're broke, right? They're underwater, right? That's the problem right now. The bigger picture problem is that as we move more and more to a digital economy, we're moving more and more toward gig workers, right? All of us, or a structural shift toward the majority of the population eventually ended up being gig workers. So that's why this topic should interest you. All right, so what's going on right now? We have California that has just decided that Uber and Lyft have to treat all of their drivers as employees. All right, not contract workers now, but employees. All right, now you look down here at the bottom. I am interested in your thoughts on this. You know, whether or not you think this is a good idea. Please provide some feedback to me with this. You know, is this a good idea? What are the implications? Who are the winners and losers? From my perspective, to use one of my father's phrases, when it comes to California, they were truly blessed with bad ideas. All right. This is not the right way to handle it. This is a very important problem, needs to be dealt with, but this is not the way to handle it. I know the unemployment fund is empty, right? And that the economics, probably more than anything, are guiding this decision making. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way, right? We got a bigger issue here on the table. So what are we talking about here? So if we have full-time employees, don't you love these cartoons here, folks? Come on. We have a full-time employee, again, a horizontally challenged person, perhaps like myself, who has limited flexibility, right? Full-time employees have limited flexibility. You're saying, hell, fat man, I hear at work all the time they're talking about work-life balance. What about that? Well, you just try to push the limits of that work-life balance, and you're probably going to get your career opportunities freed up. You are limited. Get it through your head. It's all crap otherwise. But for that constraint, right, for those the ropes and chains, you do get benefits, right? What kind of benefits are we talking about here? Overtime, health care, workers' comp, sick leave, vacation days. I could go on and on and on. Those are the benefits that full-time workers have that others do not. All right, so let's keep going here. At the other extreme, we have the gig workers. All right, let's stop there for a second. Who falls in this class of gig workers? Well, again, we have the contract workers of Uber and Lyft, right? They're obviously gig workers. But on top of that, gig workers is actually a broader definition. Right? Anyone that works less than 30 hours a week is considered part-time. They're part of the gig population. Project workers, right? Somebody, you want a website built. You might hire some web designers for a specific job. You don't want to bring them on as full-time employees forever and ever and ever, right? So there's project workers, there's contract workers, there's on-demand, on-call workers. There's all kinds of people that fall under this gig worker status. Now, of course, they have a lot more flexibility. Doesn't this fella look happy? He can dress how he wants. He can set his own hours. He can do what he wants. But with all that flexibility, of course, right now comes very limited to no benefits. The piggy jar is empty. The piggy bank is empty, rather. Okay, so what are we going to do about this? Well, the CEO of Uber has actually voluntarily offered a solution himself. This is in a recent op-ed. In a recent op-ed, the CEO suggests that the employers get that, employers, not the contract workers, but the employers set up something called a benefit fund. A benefit fund. All right? In that way, the contract workers could use that to supplement sick pay or vacation days, or to partially offset healthcare costs, things of that nature. All right, that's a proposal. Right. The bad thing about his proposal was that the company, such as Uber, puts together this benefit fund, but if you leave Uber, you lose it all. You lose it all. Well, that's not going to work. Right? That's not going to work. Someone should inform Dara here that that's a form of indentured servitude. Right? You have to have the employee has to have the flexibility to come and go. So we'd have to be talking about some benefit fund that was actually conducted at the state or national level. So we could have the flexibility to change jobs and it would change with us. But the idea is actually not bad. It's not bad. The idea is that based on the hours you work, then the company would be forced to pay in taxes. These taxes that you could use for these benefit sort of items. All right. Like I said, that's not a bad idea. The way it was constructed, it's a terrible idea. It can't be tied to any one company. This has to be a more collective effort. But again, think about this in a big picture sense. Right now, we either have employees or we have non-employees, right? These contract workers, these gig workers, the part-time workers. We have everybody else. But the way society is moving, we really need at least one more classification. And again, the Uber CEO was suggesting a third classification or a modification to the contract workers themselves. All right, something like that has to be set up, right? We just can't keep going the way it is. Today, of course, all the unemployment benefits, the $600 a week, right? The federal unemployment benefits also apply to gig workers, even though gig workers didn't pay in to the unemployment benefit fund. Today they do. Now the idea is go from $600 a week to $400. Again, they would qualify. All right. We can't just keep paying out without these workers paying in or the employers paying in at some point, right? The economics of that are not sustainable in a long-term sequence. Right? We're at $28 trillion in debt and growing. Right? Something has to be done. This is a serious issue that needs to be worked out. But going as far as the state of California, making everybody be considered employees, well, then you'd have all the flexibility of a gig worker with all the benefits of a full-time worker, and that's just going too far. All right. That's my thoughts on this topic. So I'm Don Rich, and you've just experienced a rich insight. I hope you've enjoyed it. May your beer be colder than the company you keep. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.